Alright, my boys. SK Telecom versus LMS. SK Telecom. Another game of Twitch. The last one they played against EDG. Man, did they deserve to lose that one. 10k goal behind and still managed to bounce back. Crazy stuff. I want to look at the draft. AHQ seems like they're going to potentially take third place here if EDG continue their run of doing poorly. But of course, this game also matters a lot. If AHQ beat SKT, all of a sudden they catch up to Cloud9, and all of a sudden there's a lot of implications. Westor is no longer playing, which makes me happy. I think in the both of the games that he played, he was underperforming heavily. Well, I don't know what his regular performance was, but he was underperforming in comparison to his enemy mid laner. So that is where I lie on that. SK Telecom, first pick Sejuani, Jarvan is out, Gragas is still in the picture, AHQ get a clean trade-off here. Surprising that Xayah is not picked earlier here. I think Xayah is definitely really OP together with Janna. We have Xayah, Janna, which means AHQ will have the pushing bot lane. SK Telecom have Lulu, Twitch, which of course spikes a bit harder and scales better into the game. But pushing bot lanes has been so important in this tournament, and a lot of teams are capitalizing on that very well. AHQ are banning Cassiopeia and Kassadin. Kassadin ban is understandable, but Cassiopeia, I'm assuming Kassadin Cassiopeia ban means that in a case where SKT decide to ban Syndra here, they can always fall back on a Corki, or they can fall back on a Ryze pick here. I think Corki is better than Ryze in the current state of the game. SKT follow up with the Cho'Gath blind pick. We've seen multiple times where Cho'Gath has been struggling in top lane, and the response is that Trundle and Gnar are banned here. So SKT can cleanly blind pick top lane without any issues, and the same thing would be for mid lane if AHQ decided to pick Cho'Gath here. So all in all, with these bans, SK Telecom are forcing a tank versus tank matchup, which is very positive. I think these are going to become staple bans here. Also on blue side, up top you see SK Telecom are banning Renekton. This is a blanket ban to make sure that 3 top laners are banned by the time they are picking top laner. So all the champions that people consider are good into Cho'Gath are now out of the picture. I'm sure there's something else that I'm not thinking about. Maybe we'll see HQ pick it. I'm not too sure, but these are the ones that we've seen at the tournament at least. Maybe some guy is going to play Fiora. There's also Jace, of course. There's Jace. I forgot about Jace. He could do good here too, but we will see. I think Twitch is a good champion into Jace because Twitch likes squishy targets, and the bigger difference here is the time Fnatic played against of course, who was it? They played against Immortals. They lacked engage completely. This time around, SK Telecom have a Fizz, a Sejuani to make that happen. Twitch doesn't need to single-handedly carry the entire game. So the interesting thing about Fizz is considered to be like an old school counter against Syndra. Syndra can run. The beauty of this is that Syndra wants to run Cleanse against Sejuani, but I don't think she necessarily can against a Fizz, because Cleanse doesn't give you anything in the matchup. Syndra should be able to harass the Fizz early on, but he's going to run TP, and then whenever Fizz has ultimate up, it's very easy to fish for ganks. You can pretty much just throw the fish on Syndra and hit it very easily, point blank, you know, and if you aim it properly, then it's going to be like either a flash from Chaui, and you can keep maintaining this pressure. So we're going to expect a lot of action here from SK Telecom. They will have to relieve pressure from bottom. The main thing here with Bang and Wolf is that even in matchups that they should be pushed in, they've managed to play even better than the opposition and managed to push in matchups where I think they shouldn't be able to push, and that is the beauty of SK Telecom, right? Right now, I feel like Bang and Wolf are the top performers of SK Telecom, and I feel like they are going to maintain this line of play. I think Twitch and Lulu works well, and I think in some cases, maybe against RNG bot lane, maybe against Longzhu, I feel like they could get punished picking champions like this, getting pushed in permanently. But I feel like even in this case, You can't count out completely that SKT will just get pushed in bottom. Maybe they'll win somehow. Lulu still does fine into Janna, and this is a matchup that we haven't necessarily seen yet, so I might be wrong as well with how the matchup is going to be played out. I think we will just have to see. Fizz, of course, is going to be the central vocal point here for what SK Telecom want to accomplish in the game. They want to play through mid into bottom. No Jace pickup here by Zev, no Kled either, and Maokai. Tank versus tank is what is going down here. So all in all, I feel AHQ have very similar strength here in compositions. I would feel it's all about how well Faker does in the early game. Will he fall off? Cho'Gath and Maokai, we don't have to talk about this matchup up top. It's going to be boring. Cho'Gath should push early on, and then Maokai should be able to like equalize it later on in the game, like 9 minutes. 10 minutes, and then they should be fine again with some items. A lot of magic damage on both teams. The weakness of Fizz, right, is that very bad at killing tanks. Like his DPS output on killing tanks is not super impressive. Like sure, hitting max range Fizz ult can still do decent amount of damage. Fizz can be a heavy split pusher in this game, and hopefully he'll itemize Void Staff really early on so he can actually deal with Maokai and split push. I'm pretty excited about this Fizz pickup. It's all about making sure that Fizz comes out ahead. Itemization is very interesting for Fizz. Let's see if he goes for a Proto Belt into Lich Bane, into Void Staff, or if he does something else like Lich Bane, Hourglass, Void Staff. I feel like either way he's gonna have to have Void Staff third, because otherwise he won't be able to like kill anyone, because AHQ, of course, they have a lot of experience with Fizz, and they know that coming into a game against Fizz, you need to make sure that your tanks pick up those fishes that Fizz likes to throw out. SK Telecom are now invading here, level 1. Pretty crazy. Crazy thing here is that they're quite strong level 1. There's a stun here from Sejuani, and the spells that both Maokai and Gragas want to skill up level 1 aren't the greatest in these battles. Like usually Maokai wants to have E here, and it's crazy that they're committing here all the way. Like it's super crazy, because SKT are taking a lot of damage here, and it's a back and forth, and already Peanut is chucking a potion. I don't think this is necessarily a good play. I thought it was more about just denying Maokai, like maybe if he skilled up the wrong spells, maybe it would have ended poorly. Peanut here is going to force a smite battle. I feel like this is completely crazy. Holy moly. Like Peanut is wasting a lot of time here, and maybe if he flails here and picks up a few of these raptors, maybe it's fine. But this is Peanut trying to repair a situation that is already pretty bad. Holy moly, what is happening, man? Peanut. Oh, he's just enjoying himself here. Faker coming in with level 3. Mountain managed to get level 2 here. Chow is also in position. Fizz is actually accomplishing very little by walking here. Huni manages to push in top. This is still working out somehow. Huni pushed in top because he's Cho'Gath, right, and managed to get to lane first because Maokai had to take the long route around. This is crazy shenanigans. Fizz is already moving, has a big wave here. I'm thinking if Chow just pushed in this wave instead of walking here, then Fizz would have lost so much. Mountain is so low HP. Faker is going now. A lot of creeps here lost for Faker. He's losing a lot of CS here to the turret. He's just gonna base and TP back. If he gets cancelled here, he's gonna lose even more CS. And now the wave is going to slow push towards Syndra. And the question is now, was this worth it? Was it worth the investment here? They were wasting a lot of time. Peanut was fapping around for a very long time. Mountain, sure, he lost his red buff, but does it matter that much? You know, the CS differential now in mid lane is going to be massive. TP is already used. Faker is going to slow push here. Chow is already level 4. So like Faker is slow pushing and Chow is level 4. So that is a big deal, massive deal here. Faker is going to be low, and he lost so much CS during this kind of trade-off that they committed to. And it was all about just saving Peanut. And I think that level 1 invade was crazy to do. Like if you had Talia, maybe. If you had like convincingly stronger level 1, maybe. But Maokai, Gragas versus Sejuani, Cho'Gath, it's like just 4 potatoes in a sack, you know. And of course Syndra is going to be better than Fizz level 1, because Fizz is a melee champion, and range champions are going to be better, right? And Fizz tried to support it back and forth, and now, you know, the wave is now bounced back because Chowie wants to base. Maybe Faker is going to get back a little bit, but he burned his TP, and All in all, he's behind in experience and it's going to matter in the long run. Chaui doesn't go for the base here. Chaui could also just stay in lane. Mountain is not around now. Peanut is doing his third buff of the game, which you can see here. Peanut is now 1 level ahead. That is like the price that Mountain lost. Like he lost his jungle camps rights, and Mountain was is trying to equalize that by taking the Raptors here. It's a small price, you know. Consolation price. That's the word I'm looking for. So Fizz falling behind is obviously not a good thing. This is something that should be central for SK Telecom, that they end up ahead. At least Sejuani is a bit ahead, but how much does it matter? You know, it's he gets to have a longer red buff duration, and you know, if he can do something around mid, sure, but it's hard for him to invade when Fizz is losing so hard in the mid lane matchup. Double CS now for Chaui in mid lane for Syndra. Really happy that they are supplying with Chaui instead of Westor in mid. I think Westor has played very bad in 2 games that he played. Bot lane seems to be very action-packed. SK Telecom are doing some good trades here. Barrier already used. Nice expunge and a lot of autos here on Albus. I'm not too sure about how this lane matchup is supposed to go. I feel like SK Telecom can out-trade because they have Lulu. But Xayah and Janna, I thought they would be able to out-push with W level 1 and just maintain push the entire time. It's hard to make that judgment if you don't get to see the bot lane the entire time. I'm just going to ask some ADs that I know and maybe come back with some information here. But I think the way it works is that SKT can trade better, AHQ can push better. And if AHQ can push the entire time from level 1, then they should be able to keep the lane in a better position, and it would make sure that SK Telecom can go for these trades. Twitch now with almost finished Hurricane against the BF Sword. The attack speed synergizes with Lulu and her E right, but the AD from Xayah together with Janna shield will enable her to push waves really fast. Faker now only 20 Cs behind. Let's see if they can actually create something with this fish towards Syndra. There's a big deal now that they managed to create something through mid here with Sejuani. Whoa, Chaui now in bot lane. Woof. Quick play. AHQ have managed to maintain river control on bottom side because of the mid pressure from before. It's very important here that SK Telecom try to pressure through mid here. Fizz is going to get some breathing room, of course, because Syndra on bottom. Wolf died, used both heal and flash. The main thing here is, you know, AHQ need to be wary of the play that SKT want to do in mid lane. Sejuani is around mid lane. That's the fish ult. Alright, where's the Sejuani ultimate? There it is. Not enough damage to kill anyone off, but that's 2 summoners on Syndra. And no flash used on Faker. It's all about making this play in mid lane now. There's no flash on Syndra. SKT need to just consistently be there around the timing where Fizz ult comes off of cooldown, and then pressure around river to make sure that SK Telecom can actually do the trades that they want to do in bottom. It was a very rough situation here for AHQ because Chaui was not respecting the situation at all. He needs to be very careful with the summoners, and AHQ need to manage to push out bottom and then create something. This is a massive Maokai ultimate. Wolf should be able to die here. No flash on Peanut either. Maybe they can get him. He gets away with his Q. Very big deal here. I want to take a step back and just assess the situation here. Fizz was in base, no ultimate. He has TP, but TPing in this situation is not the greatest. Twitch is in base as well. He's recalling right now. He's channeling his base. Twitch is in base. So we have Fizz that wants to base with no ultimate. Twitch is in base, and then SK Telecom are committing to this play. I think Peanut is committing to this is a mistake. Like, Fizz is recalling base right now, and this is super risky. Super risky. TP comes in from this tri bush that is warded because Janna managed to, of course, squeeze this in during the lane phase at some point, and then maokai just ults in and puts in here a very clear TP. Question is now if this just amounts to a turret. It could. You could basically say that Peanut is dead right now. It's the same, right? He needs to recall and he cannot impact us at all. HQ are committing to the bot tower while Cho'Gath is trying to chew away on the top turret. Very, very greedy play here from SK Telecom. They are committing to a blue buff that it just can't do. Twitch was in base. Faker wanted to base, had no fizzled. Very good execution here from AHQ. You know, it's funny how like these LMS teams manage to pick off games off of SK Telecom. Like this game is in good shape now for HQ. And SK Telecom have to fall back on the same win condition. They have to try to catch the Syndra in mid lane. And right now, you know, Syndra was in such a horrible situation where she had no flash. But right now the game is going to be accelerated and there will be a lot of time where, of course, SKT need to be at specific places with their jungler, and it's going to be much more predictable where the jungler is because the map is going to be accelerated on because there's no turret in the bot lane. And main thing here is also for SK Telecom, if Huni manages to push, which I think he should be able to do considering he has the Abyssal Mask, they can also create something with the teleportation device that Huni has in his pocket here. SKT are just matching up top. The top tower did in fact die from the Cho'Gath push, so that is positive for SK Telecom, of course. It kept them in the game. I think we saw a replay during the time that the top tower was falling. SK Telecom are still swapping up the top to kind of contest the Rift Herald. Also in the case if they went bottom here, they will be behind on tempo because maokai is already pushing, so it's good that they match here and catch the wave up top. They would have been just behind on tempo, and it's all about the Rift Herald right now. And the beauty of this situation here is that sure, the top turret fell and HQ's advantage isn't as big as I thought. It means that Huni here is going to pressure into bottom. He's going to be able to push this all the way, Abyssal Mask against maokai, and then he will be able to pressure with his teleport. And the beauty of this is that SKT, they took the top tower, it's all about top lane, and SKT still have their top tower. So they have a top tower that is standing, and putting some deep wards here for Cho'Gath is going to be so huge, because AHQ have no turret to hide behind, but right now it feels like the plant is going to save them. Looks pretty good. Huni cancels the TP. Alright. I felt like SKT rushed too heavily in that play. I feel like SKT could have contested the wave further up and pressured a bit further up, and I think that was very anticlimactic how it kind of spelled out, because SKT were in a very powerful position here where Huni with the TP advantage was at the same time pushing his lane. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. I want to drink some water. It's 2-0. Okay, let's take a step back now. Distracted by the fact that we buy water. So, Cho'Gath's play forced Xayah and Janna away, it seems. They walk into mid lane here. I don't know if it's a correct decision. Maybe they should be contesting the top wave right now. I don't know if they're too weak to do it. Like, Twitch has Hurricane right now. There's no turret. Maybe SKT are just stronger in the all-in. They're walking into mid lane right now. But that means that they have priority from top. After they have priority from top, Xayah and Janna are catching the wave, which means that Lulu and Twitch have priority into mid lane. They can walk into mid lane at the same time. You know, a big issue here is that they're walking into mid, giving up top priority. At the same time, Fizz is getting mid priority all by himself. So Gragas is standing here together with Syndra, like in a situation. This was too big of a pen right here. We need this. So we see. I'm gonna just remove this. Need a better color. Why? I think we're gonna do red. Red. Alright, so we see AHQ's bot lane, they're moving into mid lane, right? And at the same time, Syndra and Gragas are standing right here. Sejuani is farming SKT bot lane is farming. Fizz is getting solo mid priority, while the bot lane of AHQ are rotating into mid, and Gragas is wasting time in this position. Big problem here, because eventually, even though SKT pressured the way they did, AHQ didn't contest the top wave. AHQ run up top to catch the wave. Fizz solo cleared the mid wave. Gragas gets spotted at the same time, and Fizz and Sejuani are just rushing bottom because they have full vision here of the AHQ bot lane and the Syndra under the turret. They also spotted Gragas, so he can only take this long path around, and it's not going to be in time for the dive that Huni has been pushing for the entire time. So Cho'Gath with Abyssal Mask is going to push the entire time, and it's really, really bad for AHQ that they are weaker on every side lane at this point in time. You know, if they're not being able to contest top side as two with no turret, then they have an issue. They're going to wait for the Essence Reaver spike, and then maybe then they can win a 2v2 against Twitch and Lulu. They don't have a turret, both have Ardent Sensor. All type of crazy things might happen. Chowie at the same time with no flash is struggling very hard. Like Gragas was investing time into mid lane and they got nothing out of it. Fizz was clearing the wave in front of their face. So this is a big issue for them, big issue. I felt like maybe they should have walked up a bit further and been less scared. Speaking of his build, seems like he's going for the Proto Belt. Proto Belt it is. Kill for Huni. Good to give kills to Cho'Gath, right? Because he can only get 6 stacks from creeps and he can stack endlessly from players. So feasting champions is very positive. And boom, Faker with the 101. Not sure what Mountain tried to do here. Did you just try to farm out bottom after all this went down? Sejuani just comes in here for another one while Twitch and Lulu are farming out mid. And during this time, it's crazy. Once again, like Xayah and Janna, what are they doing? Why aren't they just staying top here? Twitch and Lulu are pushing bottom. They need to equalize the push in bottom by pushing top. Right now, they could be pushing top. Lulu and Twitch are in top side. They can, in mid. They could continue to push top, farm it out top, and push for the turret and hit the turret. Force Twitch to Lulu to react, and then they rotate. Because right now, they were top side, they didn't create any pressure, and it's a big mistake. They're just walking into mid lane without creating anything. They're just following SK Telecom around at this point. SK Telecom are definitely dancing all over HQ. So they have 3 people in mid lane, they get priority, but doesn't mean anything. Xayah is now walking back top, it didn't mean anything. I'm pretty sure Syndra could have potentially gotten priority herself. Syndra is now walking into bottom to try to pick someone up. They're pinging out Sejuani, but I think there's a chance he might recall in time. Okay. My sounds did not save Sejuani. So Xayah and Janna just didn't do anything for such a long time. It's a big problem here for HQ. Merc's ready for Fizz, Proto Belt as well. Big issue for Fizz in a lot of cases, I feel, is even though he's ahead, he falls off pretty hard. He has a strange itemization, you know, itemization that isn't like optimal compared to like in terms of scaling. He buys a lot of items to pop off earlier in the game, and hopefully Fizz here is going to buy Void Staff third. Faker misses. Chowie has flash. This is a good situation for HQ. I don't think they can hope for anything better. Bang is doing autos away. Very important here that we highlight that Syndra is only level 10, right? Level 10 and level 10 on Maokai. Level 11 is a big boost in terms of DPS for, or not DPS, but burst. But I guess burst also means DPS. So the fact that SKT missed their ultimate and Chowie cancels the Q damage here from Faker. The barrier comes off, but it doesn't do much. Not a lot of engage ultimates here for SK Telecom anymore, so it's hard for them to step into here. Good Janna ultimate heals everyone, so there's no Ratatat, there's no Sejuani ult, there's no Faker ult here. And after they missed these abilities and Syndra used her summoners, then they should have just been happy with the situation. Because I think in the first place, thinking about it, fighting in this area is not the greatest thing. Because right now, you know, Twitch is taking priority top. He's showing on the wave right now. You can see that Twitch is right here. AHQ's bot lane is already moving, so they are moving before Twitch. They're also coming at a better angle to come into this space. If you can take a look at the minimap right here, they're gonna come into this space faster than Twitch if he takes this path around, right? So right now AHQ's bot lane will just group up first, and Twitch will come late to this party, and I think it's a mistake here to commit to this, because Twitch just wants to clear this wave. Right now in the position of SKT, they could have just gone into mid lane first, zoned them off here, and just walk into mid first and force Syndra off by walking towards, like right here, if they just walk through this path and then into mid lane, they would have priority in mid, and then Twitch and Lulu can continue up the path here, and then it would have been a better situation. Committing into this play, I think, is a mistake. Enemy bot lane was grouped up first, and Maokai is TPing in. Maokai is in mid lane right here. And SKT didn't need to force this. They already had like a very good position coming into mid lane to get priority. And those are 2 kills. Like, this might be a Rift Herald, this might be mid tower. This might have a lot of implications. Seems like AHQ is going for Rift Herald and mid tower at the same time. Seems like they can get both. This is going to mean a lot, right? They have the Feral Drake. It's a big deal for sure. The main thing here for AHQ is to clean up their mistakes when it comes to running around the map. Don't let SK Telecom run them around the map. Make sure to create their own pressure, because right now they did a lot of following and very little leading in this game, and right now they're in the lead, so it's important that they actually take the lead in the sense of taking the lead of the game, not just money-wise. SK Telecom are doing the Cloud Drake. I think AHQ just based a bit late because they took the mid tower and the Rift Herald. It doesn't matter too much to lose this Cloud Drake. They're back on the map in any second here. Excuse me. Speaking of the trolls, you know, AHQ finally creating some pressure of their own, giving up bottom tower to trade the top tower. Positive, you know. It was very similar in the previous play where AHQ just roamed back and forth into mid lane here, and it was very disappointing to see. But at least now they're committing to a trade. Cho'Gath is running up top. Both TPs, they're going to come up at the same time. It's very good that they keep... In a lot of scenarios, people are like, yeah, Fizz should go on side lane, yeah. It's not necessarily true. Like, they want to keep Fizz against Syndra at all times. She has no summoners, and they just want to put Fizz where Syndra is. Because if Syndra is against Twitch and Lulu at this point in time, she's actually going to have priority. But Faker alone against Syndra is going to be able to like pressure her with his ultimate. Seems like he's itemizing Lich Bane. I'm hoping he goes Void Staff third, and then continue the game like that. SK Telecom will play side lane with their bot lane, and I feel like at this point in time, Twitch and Lulu can commit all in into Xayah and Janna and maybe come out ahead. I feel like it can go either way. It's like a mechanical battle, if anything. I think there's a big advantage with Twitch. Like if Twitch just focuses down Janna, I think they might just be able to like kill her very, very fast, like a polymorph on her, or just speed on Twitch, or like if they just cancel Janna or CC her for a second and just mow her down. I think that should be the goal for them if they fight 2v2. That's the one thing that Twitch can do that most ADs can't do, just focus the support from a good angle and shut them down. Faker now stunned in mid, still has flash, not a big deal. Also had Proto Belt if Mountain decides to commit into that. Rift Herald on Mountain side, and seems like he doesn't really create anything with it. Faker is low. No ultimates from SK Telecom, they didn't get much. Only a flash from Mountain. This is a good opportunity now for HQ to pressure. Faker can base because he has TP. No one is in bot lane. It's a big pushing in wave. Maokai is going to walk down there to catch it very, very soon. Not going to mean much either because he also has teleportation device. Chao Wei now gets traded on by Bang. Fizz is now being forced in a situation where he needs to where he needs to group. And AHQ are much more confident and comfortable in this position where they are grouped. Fizz likes to separate people and likes to be separated from the enemy team and likes to fight 1v1s, 2v2s, but in the group situation where he can't land good fishes, then he's going to be a lot weaker than the Syndra. Rift Herald doesn't get any tower. Tower is very low though, and couldn't get more autos in. AHQ are very, very happy to be in a grouped situation, and SK Telecom want to play like the side lane game where they can just out-farm the enemy by taking more side lane waves. When he's down bottom again, he's 40 CS ahead now of Ziv. AHQ kind of know this fact that they need to be grouped up and remain together. It's going to be hard for Fizz to get onto Janna, and you know, the fish really needs to land on like Janna or Syndra, but it's going to be harder and harder to do the longer we go into the game. The reason Fizz falls off is because there's so many tools in the game that kind of make his fish non-existent. There's Quicksilver Sash, there's a Banshee's Veil, there is also Xayah's Ultimate, there is, you know, there's a lot of things that can interrupt Fizz's damage. So it's always going to be a risky pick, right? If you don't snowball hard enough, then Fizz is definitely a champion that's going to fall off. Now the question is if Twitch and Lulu can carry this game together. They've, like Wolf and Bang have carried in the past, so it's a possibility for sure. AHQ still need to play this game where they are very grouped together and farm quite inefficiently. They need to catch waves rather deep into their turret and not get caught by Fizz. While SKT want to play the split push game where they just manage the sideways better and get more CS in the long run. And hopefully this is going to be enough for them to win the game, while AHQ just want to be in a grouped scenario and then pressure the Nash area by pressuring together through mid. So this was strange. So we see a lot of movement towards top side, and just before this, Fizz pushed out top and base for Lichbane and moved through mid. Xayah is showing top, and Gragas and Janna, they are just moving back and forth. They are just being human wards at this point in time. You can see them. Let's remove this from the screen. Like, you can see them just running around in circles here. Gragas and Xayah, they're trying to maybe defend her from the Fizz, but I don't think it was necessary. And SKT just get a free turret off of that because they were afraid of Fizz waiting for Xayah somewhere in the side lane. So Xayah couldn't push as far as she wanted to. I think that is the price you have to pay when you play against this comp right now. You have to push the wave not so far, group up, group as 4, get priority as 4, and then step into the river topside, and then off of that clear top wave. But they tried to do it the other way around, where Xayah was topside. It was a bit wonky because they were scared that Xayah would face check a Fizz. It didn't happen, right? And on top of that, like, Xayah like can just ult the Fizz ult, you know, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But they were just roaming around, and Fizz that pushed top, he could have waited in the bush, but he could also just based, got Lichbane and went to mid, which Fizz did in this case, and they just went through mid, and Xayah was away, showing on the wave, and Gragas Janna were quite a bit, like, very far away. They were just in Africa at this point in time, and they could, SK Telecom could just get a free mid tower off of that. Twitch is now soloing Drake. I feel like Ziv is giving up too much farm in bot lane. I feel like he could stay around a bit longer. They have Gragas to face check bushes if it's necessary, but of course the CS on Maokai is not going to make or break the game, but he just, like, Huni is almost finished with his 3rd item and he hasn't finished his 2nd item yet, so some gold is still necessary on a tank. So I feel like he's given up too many bot waves in order to just group up. And maybe he's playing to the win condition too much that AHQ have, that they need to group up as 4, take priority, take control of a river, and then off of that take vision of topside. I mean, clear the topside wave. So once again here, like, Xayah is catching wave top, which gives SK Telecom the wave in mid lane for free. Xayah can't stay up top. She needs to move into mid, and I feel like AHQ is just doing a lot of running around where they don't need to. They need to group up as 4 at some point in the game. They lost a mid tower, which was detrimental for their success in this game, and they are not doing a lot of grouping as 4. They need to just group as 4, take priority, then step into top, clear a wave, rinse and repeat. Chowie here got caught. Burnt flash is going to matter a lot. Faker is not going towards a void staff, he's going towards hourglass, a hourglass instead. I learned something new the other day. You say "un" when it's when the word begins with a vowel. AHQ aren't weaker in the 5v5 fight. I think forcing a 5v5 is definitely positive. The main thing here is that Ziv doesn't have TP. I don't even remember or didn't even realize when he TP'd. I think it TP'd when Chowie got caught. So TP was instantly channeled the moment Chowie got caught, and that's what I didn't notice. So Huni now has a TP advantage, he's going to push all the way through. Maokai needs to group with no TP, he cancelled it right, but he's grouping. And HQ are definitely on a timer here, because Huni's going to push all the way top, and they just need to force the TP somehow. And the way you do it is by doing Nashor. They can't do it by split pushing, they can't do it by just running it down mid lane. They need to do it through this type of fashion, and they started at the Baron. It's kind of wonky, and Huni is just firing away at the bottom tower. He has one tower, and the HQ are definitely on a clock, and this is going to be a huge fight. He's going to rely heavily on where the Sejuani ultimate hits. We can see that the biggest key targets here for SK Telecom is going to be this Janna, because she is actually the target that can be locked down. Chowie is also back here with no flash. If they can step into here and save some of their ultimates, maybe they can zone these people off. I think the position here of AHQ is defensive yet risky if they get cut off. But of course, the main thing here, if SK Telecom try to step in where I painted my arrow, then it's very important that AHQ just turn. If AHQ just turn with Gragas and Maokai and make sure that they defend this space, then the situation where AHQ are standing here is not too bad. I'm going to remove everything that I painted now, and let's just play this out in real-time speed. This is going to be a big-ass fight. Baron now 4k. Was that a Fizz ultimate? No, it was a Sejuani ultimate. It whiffed, didn't hit anything. TP of Huni was forced. HQ, they accomplished their mission. They walk into mid lane now, and they got exactly what they wanted. Maybe SK Telecom should have committed harder on the people in the Baron pit, but the position of Janna and the position of Syndra was very, very good, and those were like essential targets for SK Telecom. In a moment where in a scenario where they committed on Chowie and Janna, then Maokai and Gragas, if they just kind of counter-engaged, then it would have been a very bad scenario for them. So very well played from HQ here, baiting forward the TP and forcing SK Telecom into grouped situation. Fizz is up top now. We need to keep in mind that Huni did in fact get a tower bottom, so it's not a horrible situation, a trade-off tower for a TP. Faker is hitting top tower, he has the Lich Bane. He can do this pretty fast, but he needs to start running away because HQ did in fact have mid priority and can run towards top side without losing anything in mid. The further and further we go into this game, the harder it will be for SK Telecom to kill these key targets. Syndra's flash is going to come back online, and HQ, the one thing that is holding them back is that they are losing a lot of CS on the side. But the further and further we go into this game, the harder it will be for SKT to kill key targets, and HQ are definitely a force to be reckoned with when it comes to being grouped. Their team composition is very strong being grouped, and Fizz just wants to pick off people on side. You can see that he has a level advantage. Chowie just got level 14, so he has a slight XP advantage there. Huni has a 3-level advantage, and that is the advantage that SKT have in their favor. HQ also have the Infernal Drake on their side, and SKT got 2 very boring Drakes. Next Drake is going to be Infernal. AHQ just need to make sure that they get mid priority here, put wards in mid lane so they can spot Twitch at as often as possible, and maintain this idea that they need to remain grouped. Huni now, you know, he's in bot lane. Main thing here is Huni is all the way bot lane and he doesn't have TP. But he showed at a time where SKT already had priority both top and mid, so it was very little risk for him. Ziv can now do the opposite and push bottom all the way through. Something Fizz could do is go bottom and match the Maokai with the TP, but with the itemization of Maokai, he's going to win the 1v1 against Fizz as it stands right now. That's why I suggested to maybe third item by Void Staff. Fizz of course can do a lot of great things with Hourglass too, so it's a preference thing more than anything. Like if you came into the game with the idea that you're going to deal with Maokai and split push, then maybe Void Staff is better. But even then, I'm not even completely sure if the current state of Fizz can kill a Maokai with a Void Staff. So I'm not gonna talk out of my ass and pretend that I know everything. I think there's a case where Maokai is beefy enough that Fizz can't even kill him with a Void Staff. But who knows? I'm sure there's someone out there that knows. Hourglass is the choice of item, which is a utility item and gives you more in terms of killing key targets. But there's so much MR now on the side of AHQ, even with the Banshee's Veil, that I think there's a fair argument for it. I feel like AHQ are taking too big of a step back here. You know, they aren't really committing to any idea. They're just standing around and they're just watching SKT do their thing. I feel like AHQ are way too passive in their approach, and I feel like they just need to take the stand where they are grouping as 4 and then take vision control and not be afraid to be put in a situation where they are fighting against SK Telecom. I think that is completely fine. Because look at the amount of damage that Faker does at this point. It's not that threatening, and they have carries with items. Bang is the one that needs to dish out a lot of DPS in case for them to die. AHQ has invested a lot of items in magic resistance, so there isn't a lot of armor for them. There's the engage from AHQ. They shouldn't be afraid to take these fights at all. Infernal Drake is on the menu. It's a very difficult thing to do though, because as soon as a team moves towards Infernal Drake, the other team is going to go straight to Baron. That's a Fizz ultimate on Ziv. Ziv is like splash. Doesn't matter, man. He's a tree, loves that water. You can see that Fizz's damage is not that impressive on these tank targets, and they are the ones that are going to stand in front of the fish most of the time. SK Telecom are just sneaking in this Drake, and it has to be because of the fact that Chao is basing here, and SK Telecom are just taking mid priority without any contention here from AHQ. SKT have the vision from before on Baron. They can just they're just clearing this wave straight up, and AHQ are just basing, and they're not contesting this at all. They have the vision in mid and they're just walking up, and maybe in a case where AHQ actually tried to contest that, this would look differently. But Chao base for a needlessly large rod. Maybe that is the trade-out they wanted to go for. They wanted to get a clean base, be first at Baron, while SK Telecom pick up the Drake. They lose priority and they also lose their timing to base. So HQ, hopefully for them, they can get enough out of this for it to be worth it. I think they would have to take Baron for this to be worth it. I would love to see the gold amounts on SK Telecom. I don't think anyone managed to base in time. Like the items didn't change for anyone. SK Telecom had the same items that they didn't base just yet. So they have some gold here in their pocket. But Infernal Drake is sufficient enough boost in stats, I feel, for them to be able to contest this. No difference in items for Xayah. She didn't buy anything in base. Nearly large rods on Syndra. She's still level 15, not level 16 like Faker here. Huni has TP to TP into this situation. No vision on Nashor. AHQ did have priority because SK Telecom went for this Drake, and it's just given away to AHQ. So let's reassess the situation. Drake, SKT got priority in mid, AHQ based. So they had base advantage, And the trade-off was that SK Telecom didn't base, they took the Drake for it. SK Telecom didn't base, and what they needed to do was have the thought in their mind that the enemy team could do Nashor. Because I feel like if they just played with that idea that there's a possibility that the AHQ might do Nashor right now, then they would have positioned very differently. Right now they have a TP ward right here. It's hard for them to face check. Maybe they could face check with Sejuani. Maybe they could come from an angle here with Twitch. I'm trying to think of ways why they decided to do what they did here. Faker's moving up top to clear the wave. This turret, this Drake is done. So if they walk, all their vision just disappears. It does just disappear the moment SKT or like AHQ is walking towards there. Like the crab disappears. Like look at it now. It has wards right now, and then AHQ gets spotted by this ward. So HQ gets spotted by this ward right there. This ward dies. Crab goes away. And I feel like this is enough information for them to assume that they're doing Nashor. Interesting. Are they just... Is this their plan? Just to give it away, the Nashor? Are they just accepting their mistake? Do they feel like they can't contest this? Let's think of the possibility if they went from Drake towards Nashor, if they would be able to contest it. They have 2 wards on Lulu. Like they could face check here. They saw, like they are seeing the Syndra right now. Like they see the Syndra on this ward right here, right? Like this ward is putting Syndra. Fizz is coming from this angle. Like Fizz could potentially check here, right? And these people could face check here with no issue, I think. There's Maokai ultimate, there's Righteous Glory for the engage. I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure. Was it just a mistake to do Infernal Drake? Should they have just pushed and based and then continued? Is SKT sitting on that much money that they don't want to fight in this situation? Because SK Telecom did ping the Baron. They pinged the Baron, so they knew about it. They consciously agreed that they should just give it up. Yeah, maybe they were just afraid of the turnaround, and I think that's fine. Maybe they just accepted their mistake, which was taking Infernal Drake. And then in some cases you could argue that it's not a mistake, right? Infernal Drake is going to matter the longer the game goes on, and if SK Telecom manage to just hold on to their inner towers here with the Baron that HQ have, then it's going to be fine. Faker also, you know, I don't feel like he's going to be that useful until he gets Void Staff, so that is also another argument for them not to fight. The main thing here is also like AHQ as a team, 5v5, grouped up, it's very hard for SKT to deal with it. So the trade-off Infernal Drake for Baron, maybe it's a good trade-off. Let's see now how much HQ can actually get out of this. I feel like there's a potential for them to take the side turrets, but even then, you know, HQ have struggled to push the side lanes in, partially because of their play and partially because of their draft as well, and SKT's draft. You know, we've been talking so much about how HQ is stronger in a 5v5 situation, so maybe it makes sense that SKT are just letting them have it. In that kind of a case. Huni is taking a lot of damage here. Mikael's was in fact used on Huni. Root on Lulu. Huni is out and about. His teammates are trying to sacrifice themselves for him. This is not a great situation. Everyone on SK Telecom needs to base now. Get some HP back up. Question now is how much can HQ do with this wave? No ultimates, well no ultimate, I mean Fizz has no ultimate, no Wild Growth either, no Flash on Wolf. Might this be enough for HQ to just push through to get this tower? Seems like HQ is a bit too afraid. We have a static Shiv instead of a rapid fire cannon, and I think that's a problem. and took a lot of damage. Bang has no ultimate, he's still shooting away. Good hourglass from Faker. Fizz ultimate is not thrown yet, it's hits on Mountain. We still have a Sejuani ultimate, but it doesn't seem like he has enough mana. Root on Twitch, I don't think they can chase us any further. No mana on a lot of people. I think it was a good engagement here from Bang, and I think it's a mistake that Ann has. I guess he's buying Rapid Fire Cannon now, but is this the best build you could have? Isn't Rapid Fire Cannon second just better on Xayah? Like, you have enough pushing power in your abilities to just throw your spells, and with Essence Reaver you can just push and use your mana however you want, and then Rapid Fire Cannon is just like the range bonus is just so good. Interesting. I'm still stuck on that Baron play. I'm just thinking like SKT agreed after taking Baron, and AHQ forced it. They cleared vision. There was SKT weren't grouped. Faker was up top lane. He didn't base. He had money for Hourglass and a Blasting Wand, so that's a lot of money. That's like 2,000 gold. There was AHQ being grouped is also a big thing about it. The entire SKT roster didn't base yet, and all of these things matter. And AHQ is a good teamfight composition, and maybe SKT. Well, maybe I'm assuming that they were just waiting for the items, you know. If they wait for Void Staff and trading Drake for Baron is completely fine in a lot of cases. Like right now, what did AHQ actually get from their Baron? They might get this tower. Faker is getting destroyed here. The wave is going to be cleared now a lot easier because Baron is off, right? So Infernal Drake right now, you can convincingly say that Infernal Drake means a lot more than what happened. But AHQ are managing to break the base here. SK Telecom might have to fight here. Redemption heals a lot. OP item used on Ziv. Gargoyle Stoneplate is what I call OP item. Faker's trying to find an angle. I think Janna is the target he needs to go for. Fish hits on Mountain. Faker plays this out very beautifully. Still doesn't have the Void Stab, I think. Oh my goodness! What the fuck? You know, this is the case with Cho'Gath is not a trap, you know, when he manages to eat enemy 8 carry with the Gargoyle Stoneplate up. Holy moly, look at that. Look at this, man. Holy. I want to take a step back and see this feast here. Whoa. That's like 1,000 damage right there. Crazy, crazy stuff. Hilarious, actually. So this is, you know, in a case where Cho'Gath gets to use his ultimate in this type of fashion, then he looks insanely OP. But Cho'Gath obviously has his weaknesses too. So I want to view this fight completely once again. Wow. Fizz got a nice chunk of damage on Gragas before. Then the Feast comes in, and that's pretty much it. Like, the Feast comes in, silence on Xayah here. Silence into one smack into, like, I think Twitch hits him with one auto or something here. Like, it goes through the Maokai and hits that Xayah, and then Cho'Gath just eats, and she gets pretty much one-shotted. And if Xayah gets one-shotted, there's no way in hell they're gonna kill Cho'Gath and Sejuani. And as it stands right now, it just seems like SK Telecom can deal with the front line a lot easier here. What happened with Janna ultimate in this scenario? Like, let's take a look at all the tools that we used. Janna ultimate was complete garbage. Like right here, it needs to be used to peel away the freaking Cho'Gath that is in the mix. The moment Cho'Gath gets knocked out of this battle, then he's not gonna get back in. He uses his flash to get in here, and Janna ultimates absolutely nothing. This is a healing ultimate. This is, you know, she could knock away Cho'Gath here and it would actually mean so much in this situation. And after Xayah just gets one shot, there's no chance that AHQ are gonna take this back, especially when Choi ults the Fizz and gets nothing out of it. I think individually AHQ are quite unimpressive. I think AHQ, for me, the most impressive players of AHQ have been Mountain and Ziv, and they're playing tanks. You know, how much can they actually do? You know, they can tank it up. You know, but that's about it. Elder spawns in 40. Ziv will still have some time on the clock by the time it spawns, but he has a TP to come back into it. Main thing here is that SKT can get a good position here already, and when it comes up, maybe Ziv won't have any good TP wards to come to. We get to see the replay again. I think Albus is trolling. Albus is trolling big time here with his ultimate. Doesn't knock anyone away. I feel like the moment Twitch ults, they need to just disengage with Gragas ultimate and then walk back in. They need to play this game where they play around SK Telecom's cooldowns, because the way SK Telecom win these fights is when Twitch ultimate gets a lot of value, Fizz ultimate lashes onto someone and they can actually follow up, and Huni gets to use his spells on the right targets because of these ultimates, the Sejuani ult, the Fizz ult, and when HQ don't disengage properly when these abilities are being expanded, then there's a big issue here. Very, very big issue. AHQ definitely need to just play the team fights in a way where they just disengage and play around the cooldowns of SK Telecom. Let's take a look at this situation. Like, we were just thrown into this from the replay. I'm assuming SK Telecom just overstayed a bit and then based, and then are coming to the second. AHQ went straight to it after them basing. Peanut is coming in. Huni's coming from a good angle. Feast on Elder Dragon might be a possibility. Smite from Peanut takes it away. Very important. Huge fish here. Hits a lot of people. Once again, the same situation. Huni doesn't get knocked away too far and is getting hit by a Cho'Gath. It's a crazy, crazy world we're living in if a Cho'Gath is being able to auto-attack a Xayah. A very good opener here from SK Telecom. They get so much value from each and every single ult. They also get the Elder Drake. Fizz ultimate hits two very important people here, and I feel like as long as SKT gets a lot of value from their ultimates, they're going to have a big problem in team fights. I'm assuming SK Telecom of this are going to just yeah, it looks like they're going to just end the game. Wow. Very interesting game. I think there was a lot of holes in SKT's strategy here, and AHQ definitely could have played better. I think, you know, SK Telecom got a lot of value out of their ultimates. It was important for AHQ to try to disengage the moment these ults come in. Make sure to pick up the Fizz ultimates and the Sejuani ultimates with the right people. Like in this last fight, Fizz ultimate hit two important people, was Janna and Xayah. Seems like Xayah can't ult after the Fizz ultimate because she still took damage from it. That was my understanding of it, at least. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. Very important that AHQ play around the cooldowns of SK Telecom to win and be stronger in these fights, but it doesn't seem like they ever did. They didn't do it when it mattered, and they managed to get that one Baron. And it seemed like it was the right decision for SK Telecom to just do, because AHQ, after taking that Baron, needed to base, and during this time SK Telecom had priority on waves, which gives AHQ less Baron time, less useful Baron time. AHQ managed to crack the bottom tower, and then managed to crack the bottom tower on Inhib, so they got 2 towers for the Baron, and then they misplayed the fight, where Anne got one-shotted by Cho'Gath. All in all, there was this situation in bottom where SK Telecom are just making plays on the map when they can't. So Peanut and Wolf were invading the blue buff together when Twitch was in base and Fizz was starting to recall. So this is not a situation where they had to create a play. That gave AHQ the first tower bottom, 2 kills as well, and SKT were in a very dominant position before that happened. They were winning bottom, SKT, Bang and Wolf, they were winning, out trading AHQ when I think AHQ should be pushing. And SKT also had this summoner advantage in mid lane, which matters so much. No flash on Gragas, no flash on Syndra. The moment the next Fizz ultimate comes off cooldown, they could do so many things in mid lane. AHQ got the bottom tower, but Cho'Gath got the tower up top to equalize that, because Maokai was of course bottom. And then with the TP of Huni, they didn't really create much either, but I felt like that was also a powerful situation where SKT could have done more. Maybe they could have baited more. Then there was this problem with AHQ's bot lane just not knowing where to be. I felt like AHQ were very confused with how to deal with the side waves. They were very confused in the sense that they didn't know how to get pressure. I felt like they just needed to commit to the idea of getting pressure as 4 through mid, then stepping into river, forcing the enemy team to group, and then putting yourself in situations where Fizz is taking more risks when he split pushes. But SKT were getting priority in mid lane as 3, they were getting priority on side lane with Fizz, they were getting priority on side lane with Cho'Gath. So AHQ were slowly choked out in the macro and also in team fights. And all in all, SKT now 3-0, AHQ 1-2. This means that I think EDG and Cloud9 are gonna, like the game that's coming up next is going to decide who looks like the second place taker in the group. Very exciting stuff. SK Telecom showing off some new things. I think SKT's bot lane is still the shining light here for SKT. They are playing out of their mind. They are playing really freaking good. They are winning matchups that they are slightly unfavored in some parts of it. I think pushing wise, I think trading wise, it should be a lot stronger, and the HQ can push. And they did outperform their enemy bot lane big time. And I think Peanut needs to tone it down a bit. I think he's doing too much crazy things. It put Faker very far behind at level 1. It put his team slightly behind when they in fact did this thing in the blue buff jungle of AHQ where they invaded and 2 people died. I think that settles it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace.